Friday, April 9th, about 4 days ago, Hasbro held what is, I believe, their first ever Hasbro Fan Fest event, which is basically their substitution for the San Diego Comic-Con event. And so this year, for pretty obvious reasons, San Diego Comic-Con was canceled. And they had a bunch of different reveals from all the different brands, from, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, and for me, most importantly, Transformers. But there's something we need to talk about that was unveiled. This is something that is being talked about because this is a big deal. Out of nowhere, Hasbro decided to unveil, announce, and pre-order release their first ever self-converting Optimus Prime figure. So this is something that we've gotten small glimpses of in the past, kind of similar to how you might see like videos floating around on the internet of like these test Iron Man suits with rockets. They're very rough ideas of what's happening. And one day we're probably going to get an unveiling of a very refined suit. And when that happens and it's released publicly, it'll be a big blow up and everyone will be like, wow, they suddenly have a functioning Iron Man suit. Those who are watching the previous prototype videos will know, oh, well, no, this has been in development for a while. It's just a company finally funded it and officially released it. That's a hypothetical. This is a reality because this new self-converting Optimus Prime, I'll just say self-transforming because that's a little bit more intuitive to say, it's going to be 19 inches tall, with a ton of functionality. So it's self-converting and it can be activated to self-convert either by the press of a button, by voice activation.
Convert!
And by mobile app control. Now, normally I'm not a huge fan of like mobile app controls or like remote control vehicles that use an app because that's going to get very dated. But in this case, the app control allows you to basically create custom voice commands in order for it to do custom actions. Oh, and by actions, I mean this guy has an array of different things he can do. He doesn't just transform. He's not just like those cheap like JCPenney's like little stand-up vehicles that like stand up into a robot mode. No, he like actually transforms and has tons of articulation. My absolute favorite pose that they showed off in the live stream was the superhero pose where he just strikes down. That actually threw me off. That was a freak out moment for me. That was the moment when I was like, oh, I might need this bad boy. It's just so exciting. I mean, this is a centerpiece. And I swear I'm proven wrong every single year because every year I think this is going to be my centerpiece. This is going to be my centerpiece. And it is until they come out with something that just knocks everything else out of the park. And this is that item. However, I should probably pause my nerd off here for just a second because there are some kind of downfalls to this that need to be mentioned. Okay. The first one that I'm going to say is aesthetically, you can tell there's something going on, right? Some of his proportions look a little wonky, and especially if you catch him in truck mode, you know that there's some sort of gimmick that's supposed to make him special. His truck mode does suffer a little bit. But, things like the lights really do make up for it for sure. But basic things like him walking looks pretty ridiculous. There's also a few other poses that I think look pretty goofy and pretty dorky. The sounds seem pretty cool on him. I think quite easily my greatest concern with him is if you pay attention, he faces forward in truck mode, and when he transforms into robot mode, he's faced the other way, and vice versa. And the reason I have a problem with this is because if I'm going to get this guy, right, I want him displayed up on my shelf, and I want to have him displayed in, let's say, like vehicle mode. I want to have like friends over and be like, oh yeah, this is my display room. That'd be like, cool. And I'll just be like, hey, Optimus Prime. And then he'll like respond and transform on the shelf. Do you know how shocking? I mean, that is a do-all end-all statement right there. I don't care if you hate Transformers. If you walk into my house and you see that, you're an automatic convert to Transformers. No pun intended. It kind of kills the magic when you imagine like Optimus Prime, convert, and then he transforms and he's facing the wall. Okay, so they were talking about this and they announced it. Of course, price was the last thing that they mentioned in this big streaming reveal. And I was really ready to take a huge punch with like $300, $400. Nope. He clocks in at $699 as listed here on the site. That's insanity. Okay, like this is coming from somebody who has told my fans that I'm ready to go buy a HasLab Unicron at aftermarket prices. Even as somebody who's willing to do that, this Optimus Prime at $700, that is craziness. But I think both Robosen, the company who made this, and Hasbro, who's backing them, know that this is a sacrifice that only middle-aged dads and people with money are going to be able to make in the first place, right? If you make a figure that's $300-$400, then most people aren't going to be able to get him anyway, so may as well give him everything that you want for that $700. I think my biggest complaint is I could have easily had this 19-inch tall figure. I think they could have shrunk that down to an easy 13, 12-inch figure. It could have been a lot more space-friendly, and they could have cut it down by easily half the cost, in my opinion. And apparently there is a big appetite for this, because on the website, this figure is already sold out. So you can't even hypothetically get him unless there's third-party sellers out there. On HasbroPulse.com, he is sold out. You can't purchase him, and this was only days ago. And I think that's the biggest claim that Hasbro is making right now with Robosen is, listen, this is the first ever self-converting licensed Optimus Prime Transformer toy, right? So they gave it all the bells and whistles, and while there's a lot of wrinkles that need to be ironed out, I'd personally argue for them that they made the right choice in just going all in. Let him have the OG Peter Cullen voice, which oh, it's so cool. Just give him everything and make him just a big freaking toy. And then it begs the question that you guys are probably all wondering for me, which is this figure, with all its bells and whistles and all of its problems and everything, is it worth $700? I guess so, because I have it on pre-order.